So I might as well just talk about the wig first, because I'm going to edit this later. So basically, I have a horror story from last year at AutoFest, and you know what? That made me want to buy, just make the wig myself. That was because the wig kept falling off and, it's very heavy. So I bought one on AliExpress, 2 months ago before the whole pandemic happened, and I got it, the box, straight out of the box. It's straight. It's a regular straight wig that you would buy, just for, your long hair cosplay, stuff. But here's the thing, I know people don't want to spend $30, so just buy a really long one. This was $18 Canadian. For those people in the US, it's a little cheaper, since conversion rates. But basically, I brushed this out first, so this is an important step, because when you're doing, when you're working with long wigs, or any wig in general, there are wefts in your wigs, and when you have wefts, you can't just pull them up like this, so you're gonna have to layer it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to part it in the middle, and I'm gonna take some scrunchies so that it's a little bit easier for me to see instead of using clips. You're done kind of splitting in half, tying one side. This is where the fun comes. So I saw this tutorial on YouTube, and she essentially takes the wefts and kind of bundles them up. So when you're at this point, you want to make sure you don't tie your bangs. So find the part where isn't the bangs. Because what we're gonna do after is that I find that with a lot of Sailor Moon wigs, or people who style Sailor Moon wigs, they generally like to curl the ends to make it kind of exaggerated. So you want to tie the bangs a little bit to the side, because we're gonna use them as curtain bangs. So now here's the fun part, and where you have to be careful. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see this, but see how when I pulled up the hair, there's this weft and it looks like a bald spot? You want that to happen, but you're going to have to separate it, because we want to have high ponytails. And yeah, so basically now we have to take a rubber band. Let's see if I can find one. Okay. Rubber band can be any size. I recommend just using these small ones, so then you can have a little bit of, you don't waste your actual hairbands. Unless you have disposable ones, then by all means do it. Okay, so now that you have your pigtail, you're gonna layer it more. Oh yeah, pro tip. So you know how I was talking about the bangs, right? You kind of want to leave at least one really long piece in the front, because then it looks a little bit more natural. Yeah, so take the front part, and you take the front part that I said to leave out a little bit, because you want to make sure that it's a little natural, because you're basically layering your down goes. So you're going to take another small rubber band, and you do the same. See, I wish I had a tripod to film this, but it's not in the mail yet. Notice how it's starting to actually, like, okay, this is the front of the mannequin, but you see it's more natural because you're layering the odongo, or the pigtail, which you really want that effect. You wanna do that. And don't worry about your pigtails teasing, because we're gonna tease them anyway, and to some extent, not too much. I made these sock buns out of my socks that I bought on AliExpress. They're really stretchy, but any sock will do. Personally, I just think that stretchy ones are good. So, this is how I made my bun for most of my thing. I just took a bun maker, and make sure your wig is thick, because if you don't use a thick wig, it's kind of awkward, so you don't want that. So, you know, if you don't know how to use a bun maker like me, how I do it, I just start it, like, just kind of like take the ends and just do this. I'm gonna do this a little bit off camera, so, you know, because I can't.
So the key thing here, I kind of messed up. Basically, you just want to try to make the bun as, like, tight as possible.
I'll kind of show what I mean. So, take it from the end, put it through the sock.
We still feel like we ain't get what we want. When we get a little pressure, we really get the way
On this, and then you can get it better. Okay, so this is what it looks like right now. Very big. Okay. So now that we're up to this point, we're going to just press it down with another rubber band, as per usual. Now you can become Usagi Tsukino, like, quite literally.
So for the kind of like tails that go down, I kind of like just tied it on the bottom instead of like putting another pigtail up. So yeah, as you can see at the back, kind of explains.
Okay, if I cut this way, right, and cut it down here, hey.
So basically, I'm just cutting diagonally and taking like the middle part and like splitting it in half, and then just cutting diagonally to get that curtain effect. It was really hard for me to do because, as you can see, I was freaking out a bit, but it actually turned out really good. As you guys saw from my posts, it looks pretty good. It's convincing, and it kind of like came out the way I wanted it to come out.
Kind of like straighten them and leave them up, or use small curlers, which I will post them a little later. But yeah, and this is how you make Usagi's bun.